Beruchim haboim, welcome everyone. We're about to begin Be'ezras Hashem together on Daf Lamed Gimel Amud Aleph, 8 lines from the top. The Mishnah said that if a person is davening Shmona Esrei, even if a melech says shalom to him, he's not to interrupt. The Gemara qualifies that and says that's only a melech Yisrael, when his life is not endangered, but a melech akum, he's to be mafsik. Our Gemara now quotes the latter part of the Mishnah. Afilu nachash kruch al akevo lo yafsik. Even if a person is davening Shmona Esrei and he finds that there's a snake that is wrapping himself around his leg, his heel, he is not to be mafsik, says the Mishnah. Explains the Gemara, Amrav Sheshes lo shonu ella nachash aval akrav poisek. The Gemara qualifies this and says it's a nachash that we're talking about. One that is not deadly, but an akrav that can bite him and cause him to die, that he could be mafsik in his Shmona Esrei. Meisrei asked the Gemara the following question. Nofel legoiv ha'arayos ein meidina alav shemeis. If a person falls in a goiv of arayos, in a place where the lions are situated, the lion's den, so one cannot testify that he is dead and thereby allow his wife to get remarried. Nofal lechafiro meleya nechoshim va'akrovim meidin alav shemes. However, if he falls into a pit where there are snakes and scorpions, they could testify that he is dead and thereby his wife can get married. So how can we say before that in our Mishnah that if a person has a snake that is wrapped around his leg, he's not to interrupt? Yet over here it says if he falls into a pit where there's snakes or scorpions, one or the other, lavdafka when it's both of them, even if it's just snakes alone, then we say that it's considered that he's already dead. Shiny Hassan, the Gemara explains it's different there. Why? The agav itzitza mazki. But because he fell into the pit, therefore he fell down onto the snakes, and those snakes thereby became angry. Those snakes will then kill him, and therefore you can already assume that he's a dead man. Rab Yitzchok Ra Shvarim Poisek. He says if a person sees Shvarim, he says bulls, then he should stop in his tracks while davening Shmona Esrei. It's dangerous. The Tani Rav Oshaya marchikin mishor tam chamishim amma umishor muad kemolo einov. Rav Oshaya teaches us that a person should distance himself a distance of at least 50 amos from a shor tam that never gored before, and from a shor muad which gored 3 times. As far as possible, as far as he can see that shore. Tana mishmei Rab Meir reish tura bidekulo solik la'agra v'shodi darga mitusech. We said that Rab Meir tells us if a person sees the head of a bull inside a basket eating, so he's preoccupied with eating, nonetheless, a person should run up to the roof and make sure that the ladder is pushed from down below. That's how dangerous it is to be in the vicinity of a bull. Omar Shmuel, Hani mili b'shor shachor uveyoyme nison b'vnei shehasotem meraki loy ben karnov. We're talking about in that situation where it's a black bull who also is in the time of Nisan after the winter came and things are all dry and now that are blooming. It gets the shore to be very, very upset and causes what he says, the Yetzer Hara, the Satan, to cause that bull to get angry and wild and kill anybody in its sight. Tonu Rabbana, the Gemara brings a brisa. Maise b'makom echad shaya arud v'haya mazik es habriyos. There was a maisa of a place that had a rodent called an arud. It's a combination, an offspring of a snake and a turtle. Very dangerous animal. And it would be mazik the brios. Bo v'hodio lo Rabbi Chanina ben Doisa. They came and they let Rabbi Chanina ben Doisa know about this arud in order to then take care of it. Omar lahem, he said to them, Heruli es charoi. Told me, show me where is the hole where this arod is coming from. Heru es charoi. They showed him where the hole is. Nosan akevai al piachor. He put his heel on the hole, on the chor of this arod. Yotza v'nashchoi umeis oisei arod. The arod came out, bit Rav Chanina ben Doisa, and died on the spot. Not like al kseifa ve'evi lebeis hamedrash. He took the arod, this rodent, this dead arod, on his shoulder, and he walked to the Beis HaMedrash. Omar Levi said to the people who were learning the Beis HaMedrash, Re'u bonai, ein arod memis ela hachet memis. It's not the arod that kills, but rather it's the chet that is memis. Now a person should not do things that are dangerous. He can't be somech al anes. And therefore, what was Chanina ben Doisa saying on his level? By the way, we saw that Reb Chanina ben Doisa was so great that the end of the second parak on Daf Yud Zayin Amud Beis told us that the entire world are nizonin, are fed in the zchus of this tzaddik, Reb Chanina ben Doisa. And he himself is dailo. It's sufficient for him to eat a kav of charuvin from Shabbos to Shabbos. So for him, on his tremendously high level, he himself was not afraid that he was going to then get hurt by this aroid. But he's making a statement over here. It's not the aroid that kills, but rather it's the chet that kills. But Oisa Shah Amru, at that moment they said, Oy loyla adam shepaga boy aroid. Woe is to a person who would come in contact with the aroid because of his deficiencies, of his chatoim, his misdeeds. But woe is to the aroid who met up with Rabbi Chanina ben Doisa and thereby was killed as a result of this tzaddik. Says the Gemara, quoting our new Mishnah, Mazkirin gevuros geshomim betchias hamesim. We mention the power of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, who's Mashiv Haruach Morid HaGeshem, in the second bracha of the Shemona Esrei. V'she'elo bebirkas hashonim, and we're mevakesh v'sein tal umotar livrocha in the bracha of Baruch Aleinu. V'havdola b'choinin hadas. According to this Tana, we make havdola and we put it inside the bracha of choinin hadas. Rabbi Akiva bracha revis b'fnei atzma. Rabbi Akiva argues and he says we make a separate bracha for havdalah on Motzei Shabbos and Motzei Yom Tif. Rabbi Eliezer oimer behoida. Rabbi Eliezer says we don't make an extra bracha. We also put the havdalah in the hoida, in the moedim. There we will put the havdalah without making an extra bracha. So it comes out we have three different opinions in regards to the Havdalah, the Tanakama, and both him and Rabbi Eliezer both hold that we don't make a new bracha. Only the Tanakama says we put Havdalah in the first bracha of Choinin Hadas. Rabbi Eliezer says you put the bracha of Havdalah in the existing bracha of Hoidah. But Rabbi Akiva argues and says you make a new bracha for Havdalah on Motzei Shabbos, Motzei Yom Tif. Says the Gemara, Mazkirin Gevuras Geshamim. My time I asked the Gemara, what is the reason why we mention this Mashiv Haruach Mira Geshem in the second bracha of the Shemona Esrei? Why is this the place that's most appropriate? Says the Gemara, Amar of Yosef, Mitosh Shkula B'tchias Hamesim. Lefika Kavu B'tchias Hamesim. Because it is a shvach that a Mashiv Haruach Mira Geshem, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu feeds and causes those who live in this world to be living, to be mechaye them, then it's appropriate to put it in the bracha of Tchiyas HaMesim, where HaKadosh Baruch Hu will mechaye the mesim. V'sheila beberkas hashon, and the berkasha of v'sein talamotar livrocha in the bracha of Baruch Aleinu. My timer, what's the reason why that's appropriate? Rav Yosef bitoshehu parnasa lefika kavu bebracha beberkas parnasa, because this bakasha v'sein talamotar livrocha is not just a hazkara of shvach, but rather a bakasha of parnasa. Therefore, it's most appropriate to put it in Baruch Aleinu or Mavakesh for parnasa. Havdalah b'choinin hadas, my taima. Why do we put havdalah in the bracha of choinin hadas lefi the Tanakama? Rav Yosef mitoshehi chachma kavua bebracha chochma, birkas chochma, because das is a bracha of chochma, and havdalah, im lo havdalah mina, im ein das havdalah minayin. If a person doesn't have das, you cannot make havdalah. Therefore, it's appropriate to put it in the bracha of das of chochma. V'rabbanan amrei mitoy shehu shehi chol lefika kavu birkas chol. Since it is the first bracha of the Shmona Esrei of Tfilas Chol, the first bakasha is ata chonein ladam das. Therefore, it's appropriate to put the havdalah in the first bakasha in the tefillah of Chol. Rav Ami gedoyla deya shenitna betchilas bracha shel Chol. Greater is deya that is put in the beginning of the bracha of Chol. Since we're going to then mevakish for all types of bakashos, the most fundamental bakasha is the bakasha of das, that Kadosh Baruch Hu should give us sanity, and therefore we need das before we can even ask for anything else. Great is there that is put between two names of Hashem. Shenemar, as it states, Ki Kel Deos Hashem. Hashem's name is Kel, and is also referred to as Hashem, and Deos is put sandwiched in between, showing the greatness of Deos. What does it mean, Dea? There is Seichel, there's Bina, and there's Dea. So, Seichel, like Chochmah, is knowledge. Bina is the transformation of that knowledge from intellect to a person to have sensory perception and making it into Dea. For example, a person, he tells his child, don't come close to the fire. It's hot. So what does the child do? He steps and tippy toes to the stovetop, and he puts his finger on the stove. Ah! It's hot. What changed? First it was in his seichel, he understood intellectually that something is called hot. But now, with his bina, by touching the stove, it's a different type of knowledge called deya, and now he knows with sensory perception that it's hot. A person doesn't have deya, this connecting knowledge of sensory perception, of real knowledge, then he doesn't, then also l'rachem alav. It doesn't mean that it's also for you as a person to rachem on him, but it's also, so to speak, for HaKadosh Baruch Hu to merachem on him. Shenemar states, Ki lo am binois hu, al kein lo yirachamenu osehu. Says the Gemara, Amri Alozar Godom Mikdash shenosan ben beis oisios. Great is the Mikdash that was put in between two names of Hashem. Shenemar says, Pa'alta Hashem, Mikdash Hashem. So Hashem's name is on either side of the word Mikdash. V'amar Belozar kol odom sheyesh bo deya ki'ilu nivna beis hamikdash b'yomav. A person who has this sensory perception of knowledge called deya, that's as if the Beis Hamikdash was built in his lifetime, where the Shechina resides, and a person has a connection, a sensory perception, a chushis of understanding that Kadosh Baruch Hu's presence is felt here in this world. Deya nitna ben shtei osios, and Mikdash nosan ben shtei osios. Just like Deya is put in between two names of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so too Mikdash is put into two names of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Says the Gemara, Maski flor of Acha Karchino Elemeata Gedola Nekama Shenitna ben Shtei Oisios. Then you have to say great is Nekama, because it also is written with Hashem's name on either side. Shenemar states, Kel Nekamos Hashem. Omar Le in. That's right. Nekama is a very good thing in certain situations. The milsa miya gedoylahi. In fact, it is a tremendously good and important thing, nekama. V'hainu damar ula shtei nekamois halalu lama. Why does it say nekamois, kel nekamois Hashem, implying that there's more than one? Achas letoiva v'achas lero. When there's nekama, and it will then give good and bestow kindliness upon the toiva, and it's going to be then a nekama in b'ni onesh according to those who are ra, then it's very good. L'toiva d'chsiv hoifia mehar paron. HaKadosh Baruch Hu appeared when giving the Torah from Har Paran. That means that the Umois HaOlam didn't accept the Torah and therefore was considered to be an onesh for them. L'ra, and therefore it was good for Klal Yisrael. L'ra d'chsiv kel nekamos Hashem kel nekamos Hofia. And therefore it was raw for them, so it was beneficial for Klal Yisrael, and it was then an onesh for them. The Gemara quotes our Mishnah in regards to Havdalah. Rabbi Akiva Omer, Oimra bracha revis. You place the Havdalah in a new bracha, a bracha revis. Omer le Rav Shaman bar Abba Rabbi Yochanan Michdi. Is that so? Anshe Knesses Hagdoila. Let's analyze this. It says Anshe Knesses Hagdoila Tiknu Lohem Yisrael brachos utfilos kedushois vehavdalos. The Anshe Knesset Gdoila, they were mesakein the brachos, the nusach of the brachos, the matbeya habracha, the tfilos of Shmona Esrei, the kedushois of being mekadesh of the nusach of the bracha, being mekadesh the Shabbos, the havdalos as well as the havdalah. Nechse heichent hakun. Let us see how was Anshe Knesset Gdola mesakin. Did they put the Havdalah inside one of the pre-existing brachos, or did they add a new bracha for Havdalah? Omarle betchila kavua betfila. Initially, they were mesakin the Havdalah in tefillah. Then, historically, what happened? He'eshiru. Once Klal Yisrael then were able to have more parnasa, and they became wealthier. Kavua ala kois. Then they put the Havdalah on a kois, that a person would make Havdalah with a kois. Then, subsequently, it was forgotten. Henu chazu v'kavu b'tfilah. When Klal Yisrael did not have as much means to make Havdalah on a kois, then they were mesaking that Havdalah should be in the tefillah, but now they already forgot what was the way they were mesaking the Havdalah in the tefillah. V'heim omru hamavdil b'tefillah tzarich sheyavdil ala kois. That they said, however, subsequently, somebody who was mavdil on tefillah in the Shmona Esrei, he should also make a separate Havdalah on the kois. Itmar nami amar Rabbi Chia bar Abba amar Rabbi Yochanan anshe knesses hagedola tiknu lahem Yisrael brachos v'tfilos v'kedushos v'havdalos. Betchila kavua betfila, he'eshiru kavua ala kois, chazu v'henu kavua betfila. V'heim amru hamavil betfila, tzar sheyavdil ala kois. So we have the same exact statement amongst the Amoraim that are saying the same thing, that there was historically a change. At first they did make the Havdalah in the tefillah. Then subsequently when they he'eshiru, they had more wealth, then they were masaking that the Havdalah should be on the kois. Then it was forgotten when they were masaking it back to make the Havdalah in the Shmona Esrei. At that point they forgot, where was it Shmona Esrei? When did they put a new bracha, or was it already in a pre-existing bracha? But nonetheless they said if a person makes Havdalah on the tefillah, he should also make a separate Havdalah on the kois. Itmar nami, Rabbi Rav Yosef, the Amr Tevai, they both said also, Hamavdil betfila tzarich sheyavdil ala kois. Omar Rava, umosbinan ashmaitzin. He says, let us ask on what we're teaching on this halacha. Ta v'loi hizkir gevuas keshamim betchias hamesim. V'sheilas bebrirkas hashonim. Machzirun also. If during the winter time, a person does not say Mashiv HaRuach, or Morid Hatal, and he doesn't say V'sein Tal, or he doesn't say V'sein Talumota Livrocha, then Machzirin also, then he goes back. We learned, however, by the way, if he didn't say V'sein Talumotar before the Shema Kolenu, he could then Machnis, he can put the Bakasha in the Shema Kolenu. If he didn't though, however, he will go back. But it says over here, V'havdalah b'choinin hadas ein Machzirin oisoi. But it says by Havdalah, in the Choinen Hadas, he should put Havdalah in the Tefillah. And if he doesn't say the Havdalah, then it says he's able to then say it on the Kois. is mashma over here that a person doesn't need to say it on the kois. He's just able to say it on the kois. Says the Gemara, Lo tema b'nei sheyochol lo'omer ala kois. Don't read it to say that he's able to make havdalah on the kois. That's why he doesn't return and go back in the Shmona Esrei. Ella ema, you should say mipnei she'oimro ala kois, because he will say the havdalah on the kois. Therefore, he doesn't have to repeat the Shmona Esrei if he didn't say havdalah in the tefillah. Itmar nami. We also have a statement like this: Omer Rabbi Binyamin bar Yafes shal Rabbi Yosi as Rabbi Yochanan b'tzidon. Rabbi Binyamin ben Yafes says that Rabbi Yosi asked Rabbi Yochanan b'tzidon. Ve'amrei lei Rabbi Shimon ben Yaakov demin tzur as Rabbi Yochanan, that he was the one who asked Rabbi Yochanan. Ve'ana shamis, and I heard, says Rabbi Binyamin, the following question and answer: Hamavdil b'tfila tzarich sheyavdil al hakois or loy? When a person made havdalah in the Shmona Esrei, does he also have to make havdalah when he afterwards on the kois? Ve'omar lei tzarich sheyavdil al hakois. And he said, yes, indeed, you have to make, again, havdalah on the kois. Iboiluhu, hamavdil ala kois mahu. If a person makes havdalah on the kois, ask the Gemara, sheyavdil b'tfila, does he also have to make a havdalah in the tefillah, or is it just good enough to make the havdalah on the kois? Omar Rav Nachman bar Yitzchok kal v'chomer mitfila umat tefila di ikir takantahi amrei hamavdil b'tefila tzar sheyavdil ala kois. When the ikir takana was to make havdalah in tefillah, and if a person didn't make havdalah in the tefillah, he can still make it on the kois. Then hamavdil ala kois the lav ikir takantahi lo kol shekain. Then certainly sufficient for a person to just make the havdalah on the kois. Tani Rabbi Chacham Arika kamei derav hagufa kasha. This itself is difficult. Amris, you said hamavdil betfila mishubach yoiser mimisha yadil al kois. It's greater to then make havdalah in tefillah than making havdalah on the kois. Alma tefillah lechuda sagi. That means that tefillah, making havdalah in tefillah itself is sufficient since it's greater. The hodetani. And afterwards you taught im hivdil bezu ubezu yanuchuloi birchas al roishoi. If he did, however, make havdalah both in tefillah and on the kois, then he shall have brachos that will be put on his head. The kivan denofik le bechada, and since that he was yotze from one, ifter v'havia bracha she'ena tzricha. If he was then yotze already with the havdalah, let's say on the tefillah, then the havdalah on the kois will be a bracha she'ena tzricha, because he already made the bracha in havdalah. They both said, Kol ha-mevarech bracha she'ena tzricha oive mishum lo sisa. That if a person does make a bracha that's not necessary, then he's over alav of lo sisa. He mentions Hashem's name in vain. So we're left with the kasha. Does he supposed to make havdalah both in tefillah and afterwards on the kois? This is what you have to say. Im hivdil bezu velo hivdil bezu. If he made havdalah in this and not in the other, then yanuchuloi brachos al roishoi. Then they should put brachos on his head. Boy minei Rav Chizdam Rav Sheshes to. Bezu ubezu mahu. If a person made a mistake and he didn't then make not havdalah in the tefillah and not havdalah on the kois, what is the din? Omar lei to bezu choizer leroish. If a person made a mistake in both the tefillah and he did not make havdalah on the kois, then he should then be choizer in tefillah. Omar le Ravina l'Rava hilchasamai. What's the halacha? Omar le ki kiddush, just like kiddush. Ma kiddush afagav de mekadesh b'tzalusa mekadesh akosa. Just like when it comes to kiddush hayom on Leil Shabbos, if a person already made kiddush in his tefillah, he still makes kiddush on the kois. Af havdalah nami afagav de mavdil b'tzilusa mavdil akosa. So too when it comes to havdalah, even though he made havdalah in the tefillah, he still goes back and makes havdalah on the kois.